if you guys like the Dragon Ball content that I provide on this channel, then make sure you guys punch that subscribe button with notifications enabled to be the first to receive all the latest in Dragon Ball content and be a part of the Dragon Ball squad. And also don't forget to follow me on these social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, to stay connected with me at all times. Hashtag Dragon Ball Squad. Thank you so very much for your support. Now let's begin. As we enter the final 5 minutes of the Tournament of Power, the God of Destruction Toppo is looking to end his battle with both 17 and Frieza by destroying them with his destructive energy, but not before being met by Vegeta as they look to settle the score, as Vegeta takes on Toppo in order to find out which one of them is truly the superior fighter of their universe. As right now we're going to be analyzing, dissecting, and breaking down the Dragon Ball Super episode 126 preview to further get a better understanding as to what's to come, as we kick off the Dragon Ball Super episode 126 preview with the God of Destruction Toppo standing over Android 17. Now the first thing I do want to point out here are the insignia and the symbols on Toppo's chest are actually the exact same symbols that we get to see on both Belmont and Margarita's garments, which is interesting because they both have the exact same symbols on their clothing pieces. So Toppo gets to display his raw Hakai power onto the surface against 17, and 17 doesn't look like he's doing very good as we transition into the next shot here, and it looks like, I think in my opinion, this is going to be 17's episode in terms of 17 having to come in and 17 having to be wrung out, because here we get to see 17 maybe more or less displaying all of his energy, giving it all he has before he gets tossed out by Toppo, because I am prognosticating that this is going to be the end of 17, and you can't really blame him considering who he's fighting. So I don't think 17 is going to last any longer against someone like Toppo as we transition into the next shot here. And of course, Toppo is using the Hakai power that we saw displayed during Dragon Ball Super episode 125. And this energy ball is so destructive in nature. We saw firsthand as to what Toppo was capable of every single time he fired off this blast. It literally destroyed anything it touched. So maybe Toppo is going to redirect his focus in trying to take out 17 using the exact same Hakai power as we transition into the next shot here, as it goes on to state Toppo overwhelms Frieza and number 17 with the power of destruction. And the first person we see flying out in the distance is 17. Now, I'm not really sure if the actual energy ball is going to touch 17's body. If it does, then perhaps maybe this is going to be the scene where 17 is getting tossed out of the ring, because it's very hard to even fathom 17 surviving this, because let alone Frieza had a very difficult time coming back, because Toppo himself even was surprised in seeing Frieza come back from this. So I think if 17 were to get hit by this, it's over. So perhaps maybe what it is that we're looking at here is the possible elimination of Android 17 as we transition into the next shot here, and we see Toppo standing face to face against Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. Now what I find very, very awesome about this is, hopefully enough, this is going to be the decisive conclusion between both Toppo and Vegeta, because when they first fought, it was a very lackluster fight. They were mainly hugging each other, pushing each other around, smack talking each other, talking about second fiddle. So I guess you could say this is the rematch of the second fiddle, except this time both are arguably at max power. So it's interesting how Vegeta is coming in to make the save, and you can tell that 17 is nowhere to be found, and neither is Frieza. Now I'm not saying Frieza's gone in any way, shape, or form, but I do believe that Frieza is currently immobile and not able to fight Toppo head on, as the only other person that is likely to save his friends, or at least his teammates in this situation, is going to be Vegeta leaving off Goku to fight Jiren, while of course they engage in battle. So as we can see here, Vegeta stands over Toppo, and he seems very angry, and I cannot wait to see this, because this is going to be a fight in which it's going to define both characters in terms of what Vegeta can do with this newly found power, and alongside Toppo's Hakai energy. The question is, can Vegeta survive everything that Toppo can dish out and more, as we transition into the next shot here, as we get to see Toppo powering up, as it says, Toppo threw away everything to become a god of destruction. So people were speculating and saying, well, Toppo is not a god, as according to the narration, Toppo now possesses God of Destruction power, God of Destruction energy. And if you look at his hands, in both of his arms, he's actually holding Hakai energy. He's holding the Hakai blast. So it's not like he's only going to be unleashing this one time. Toppo is going to be unleashing this Hakai energy multiple times during this episode. The only question is, how is Vegeta, how is 17, how is anybody else going to survive such power that Toppo is going to be emitting as we transition into the next shot here, and Toppo seems to be in action. Now, you gotta give respect where respect is due, and Toppo deserves the respect that, you know, a lot of people have been giving him, because now he seems to turn up. I mean, none of that justice stuff, no dabbing, no nothing. So hopefully enough we get to see Toppo display what he can really do against Vegeta as we transition into the next shot here. And this one shot to me is very important because it gives off the idea that Vegeta isn't going to lose to Toppo so easily. And I do feel like this fight is possibly going to be a stalemate. Maybe Vegeta is relative to a God of Destruction Toppo, if not beyond, if not below, and vice versa for Toppo. But what's important about this is seeing Vegeta literally kick Toppo in between like the kneecaps and stuff and trying to catch him off balance, which is a very impressive feat considering that both 17 and Frieza weren't able to do anything against Toppo. So now we get to see Vegeta, the only one thus far to our knowledge, able to be the only person to inflict physical damage to Toppo as we transition into the following shot here, as the narration states, against him, Vegeta, the man who takes on everything, strikes a desperate blow. And we get to see, based on the image, that Toppo is going to be unleashing not Hakai energy, but more or less his own energy against Vegeta. But the question that we're all wondering is, what is the desperate blow? What kind of an attack is Vegeta willing to unleash that pretty much puts him in a dire situation? It's kind of hard to say because many people have been speculating and saying perhaps maybe Vegeta is going to sacrifice himself, perhaps maybe he's going to put all of his energy into a blast, similar against how he did against Jiren with the final flash. Perhaps maybe this is going to be the debut of the Gamma Burst attack as we transition into the next shot here, and Vegeta takes the hit. Vegeta takes Toppo's hit, and it's kind of hard to say if Vegeta survives, because with this kind of power, it's not like he's getting hit with the Hakai energy, but instead he's getting hit with Toppo's energy, not the Hakai energy. So I do think that Vegeta is going to do fine unless it's the Hakai energy. So as Vegeta gets hit, you know, we get to see this massive explosion occur in the next shot here, and I think it's very intriguing how Toppo doesn't seem like he's struggling against Vegeta, but instead it looks like Vegeta is the one having a difficult time against Toppo, which again, it's not like Vegeta is fighting anybody of ordinary power. He's fighting someone that has God of Destruction like energy. So in the next shot here, as I just pointed out, it doesn't look like Vegeta is going to be having more or less an easy time fighting Toppo, but instead it looks like Toppo is going to be the one in control of this fight. So maybe the odds of Vegeta using this attack comes from him having to get beat down by Toppo, because it doesn't make any sense for Vegeta to unleash a desperate blow if he's the one that has the upper hand. If Vegeta at this point is at a disadvantage, then he has no other choice but to unleash this devastating attack that he plans on unleashing. So Toppo here truly doesn't look like he's toying around with Vegeta, which I truly enjoy because I don't want this fight to be dragged on. I don't want this fight to be something of unimportance, because both characters at this point have displayed raw power that is most definitely impressive as we transition into the next shot here, as it goes on to state, Vegeta, are you planning to throw your life away? See, this is tricky to even make the assumption as to what Vegeta is going to do, because what kind of an attack is Vegeta willing to unleash that's going to possibly throw his life away? The only other thing I can think of is maybe wrapping himself up around Toppo and trying to blow himself up. But again, I really don't think that Vegeta is going to blow himself up to begin with. Maybe he's going to try to drag Toppo down with him and eliminating him together. Maybe that's what they mean by throwing his life away. I don't think that Vegeta is willing to sacrifice his own life to take someone down with him, because if he actually kills somebody alongside with, you know, his own life being taken, then it counts as a disqualification. So I don't think that Vegeta is willing to be disqualified for something so small. As we transition into the next shot here, it says next time on Dragon Ball Super, and I'm very curious about the background because I've been wondering ever since we were introduced to the sky as to where this is. Are we fighting in deep space? Are we fighting in a different dimension? It's very wacky because all of a sudden, once Toppo unleashed his power, and change the atmosphere of the tournament, it's more or less like asking yourself, okay, well, where are they now? Are they within a plane of void? Are they somewhere in the galaxy? Are they somewhere in the universe? Where exactly are they? As we transition into the next shot here, as it goes on to state, surpass even a god, Vegeta's desperate blow. And then finally we get to see the final image having to be shown here with Vegeta. It looks like he's either powering up or he's doing something to where obviously he's very angry. He has veins on his cheeks, veins on his forehead. So I truly do believe that this episode is going to introduce the inevitable destruction of Android 17, as I do think that 17 is going to get wrung out. However, for Vegeta, this is most interesting because I don't see Vegeta getting wrung out. However, I do see Toppo remaining, because I do think that the only other person as of right now that can put Goku in that Ultra Instinct-like state is going to be Toppo. It makes sense because in the beginning, we saw how Jiren was the one that put Goku in UI when he, countered the Spirit Bomb, and then after that, it was Kefla by kicking Goku in the back of the neck, and now the only other person I can see allowing Goku to tap back into Ultra Instinct before having his big battle with Jiren is Toppo. So I do want to make the assumption that maybe we might get 2 eliminations in the upcoming episode. So post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts on Vegeta fighting Toppo? Do you guys think that maybe Toppo is going to get the upper hand on Vegeta? What are your overall thoughts on the Hakai energy? Is Vegeta going to survive this? Because Golden Frieza, even though he did survive, he was pretty much rendered immobile by the end of the fight. When he came back, Toppo laughed at him and congratulated him and saying, wow, you actually survived. So is Vegeta going to survive this same blast that Frieza did, perhaps? Post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys are stoked and ready for the upcoming episode, be sure to go ahead and slap a like down below. Tune back in for more if you guys are new. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Cue my outro, bitch.